myself in terms of history. About some 2 decades ago, a friend of mine, we were in media together, right? So he has a some 200 and odd thousand dollars OB truck. That's an outside broadcast vehicle. I mean, outfitted with tons of gear and whatnot that allows you to compete with some of the big television stations around the world, blah, 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 all of these things. And I wanted to get into the same business, but I don't have 200 and odd thousand dollars sitting around. So I did some research, and I found this device that came out from Sony the same year. It was called the Sony Anycast system. It was about $26,000, and it gave you everything in an OB truck right in something that looked just like a laptop. So right there, I saw an opportunity. I could show up at a place, compete with these bigger guys with this small thing in my car and an extension cord, right? And right there is where I saw the power of technology, right? The power to not only level the playing field, but also provide new opportunities for persons who didn't. Because this was a lot cheaper than what was there, that means I could offer opportunities to other companies who would never have thought about doing multi-camera broadcasting like we do now on a day-to-day basis. Now that big expensive device sits in my attic. Its technology is far outdated, right? So here's what it is. So that's the media side of where I am. When I was thinking about doing this week, I said, all right, what is some of the tech advances that are happening today? Because that's 20 years ago. So I was looking at some cryptocurrency. I was looking at Bitcoin, and I said, you know what? I'm going to tap into AI. And I put together a bot. And what's a bot? It's some AI script that can run in the background and do whatever it needs to do while you're asleep. And I put some money, about $600 in Binance, right, to trade Bitcoin and US dollars. And within the week, $600 made $12. It doesn't sound like a lot, but here's what it did. What that translates to is about 2.26%. And if you know anything about money or interest rates right now, to make 2.26% in a week is big, is huge, right? And to do that without lifting a finger is gargantuan. Why? Because that means you could set it, forget it, and let it do what it needs to do. Now, why am I telling you this, especially on the Sabbath? Because understanding this helps you to appreciate why so many people were pushing to get this technology out there, right? Because it's a vested interest. They have an interest in creating wealth, doing things that we never thought we could do, what we were never able to do previously. That's the landscape. Understanding the landscape means you understand what the people around you, what's motivating them to do why they're doing the things that they're doing. Are we together? Many people don't realize that YouTube actually started out as a dating app. YouTube, when the persons invented YouTube, they thought to themselves, hey, I could get people to put videos on our platform so that they could meet each other virtually, see each other, and then be able to have conversations that way. They started offering women at some California university $20 to put their videos on YouTube. They realized quickly, though, that the videos they're putting up wasn't about dating. They'd put up videos of themselves doing things in average everyday life just so that they could share it with their friends. So they looked at it and then quickly pivoted and said, hey, this dating app thing is not going to work out. But there's an opportunity here to create a platform where persons can put videos and share with their friends. And now YouTubers can make millions of dollars putting videos online. But in this conversation, there's two people. There's a battle. Why are YouTubers putting videos online? Why? Because they can get your attention. When they're spending time getting your attention, they're doing two things, right? They are doing, just like I was working on my bot in the background to help to tweak the algorithm so that you can make money, they're going through, they're looking at creating thumbnails, those pictures that you see when you look at a YouTube video. People spend hours curating those to make sure it's just attention grabbing enough to get you to click. And even the time or the length of video that they create, all the things that they put in it, people are investing time and energy into doing this so that they can get your attention. They do that to get your attention, so while you're watching, they're making money. AdSense, YouTube pays them money to keep you engaged. So, I said there's a battle going on when it comes to technology. People are investing a lot of money, time, and energy into getting your attention. Right? And we wonder to ourselves, all right, when they're getting our attention, what am I doing? If you're spending hours on YouTube watching videos, or any other social media for that matter, whether it is YouTube or Facebook or any one of them, once they're getting your attention, that means they're getting paid and they're investing to get. So even your phone, when you look at your phone and you see that light pop up, person spent a lot of money to design that to be just attention grabbing enough to keep you connected to your phone. So it's not just the young people and the technology and the social media, it has to do with every single one of us. I left my house one day and I realized that my phone wasn't with me and I had to turn around and go get my phone. And I thought to myself, what's going on? I remember 30 years ago, I didn't even know what a cell phone was. And we were perfectly comfortable, some of you may be too young to know, but we were perfectly comfortable waiting until we got home for someone to call us on what we used to call our house phone. But now, both young and old, we can scarcely leave the house without the cell phone in our pockets. So this is not a young people problem, right? This affects all of us. Now, if it affects all of us, persons are investing time and energy into getting our attention, and it is working. What's actually happening? Many times we talk about these things. We talk about what's happening in the physical. Yes, sure, you're on social media, so you're distracted. All of these things are happening, and so you can't focus. Okay, great, that works. That makes sense. Okay, you're on social media, you're on the internet. You may be watching some nefarious content or some off-color content. It's corrupting your mind, all those things. Sure, that happens, right? But there's something else happening. There's something else happening that is very subtle, but very interesting, because it's actually changing how our mind works. And we don't realize it, because our brain is designed in a way that allows us to work through a reward system. We do things, we feel rewarded, we keep doing them. We do things, we feel punished, we avoid doing them, right? So, if many of you learned this lesson a long time ago, and so you probably don't do it anymore. You went in the kitchen, stove was on, you touched the fire, and you learned that lesson really, really quickly. You're rewarded for your effort of touching the hot stove with pain, and you don't like that reward. But many of you got into the cookie jar, and you like that one because you bit into it, and that was good. So you want more cookies, right? There you go. So you get it. That's your brain saying, this is good, this is bad. Imagine if we were designed to execute that system, run that programming in everyday life to allow us to stay healthy, continue to grow. Think about it. Many of us, we grow up, we get a job because, hey, we need to provide, we need to take care of our families, and so that reward that comes from doing that feels good, so we keep doing it. You have conversations with your neighbor, you have conversations with people in your house, and you work through challenges that feels good because you've accomplished it, and so you keep doing it. What happens in the world where we're disconnected from each other and we can get that validation, that same good feeling from the device in our hands? Huh? Right? Anyone else? So, yep, you This device says, okay, you're not talking to me, you're not giving me any attention. I'm playing Candy Crush on this, or I'm talking to some people in Zimbabwe on this, and they're giving me the validation that I wanted. What happens to our connections right there? We get distracted, we get disconnected, we get all kinds of things. But remember, I'm not here to tell that technology is evil and tell you to turn it off and run to the hills. What am I telling you? We're here to have a conversation. What does technology do for you? Question to the floor. It's good and it's bad? What's the good, what's the bad for you? All right. Say again? Take a lot of time? Yes. Brilliant. There you go. Sometimes you're unable to come to church, and you can jump on Zoom, jump on YouTube, and you can stay connected. Okay. Stay connected to your family. Family, maybe you have to be here, your family is someplace else. You can still communicate, FaceTime even, and be connected. Yes? Turn it back on? Oh.
Yeah, accessible, so it's easy to get to. So just a while ago, we were saying, where is Andrews versus Loma Linda? Is it Michigan? Is it California? So I said to O'Neill, you're the Google man. You'll research it soon. So you can get information at your fingertips. It helps me in my work, things that you're not sure about. So health-wise, you can get information. The bad side is that sometimes you spend probably too much time, and then it leads you to another. One of the things that I have found, like if you search for a particular topic, in your innocence, it leads you to where, but then there are other things that pops up that, can be,
Absolutely, absolutely. Go ahead.
Another very important good, it saves me the time to go into the bank and stand up in this long everlasting line. And as for my bills, like the other evening I went home, we didn't get time to go and pay a bill. Went home, it was disconnected. And I took up the phone and I called, I said, can I pay it online? The guy gave me the thing, I went online, paid it, and whoop, it was on.
One time. Remember when you needed to pay your bills and you had to rush to the place before 2 o'clock or 5 o'clock or whenever they closed? But now you can pay it at 11:59 in the middle of the night? And everything is okay. So what we're seeing here is that technology has its good and its bad just like everything else, right? Guess what? Let's see your hand.
I just want to say, on the same matter of paying bills
Yes.
and doing e-commerce,
Yes.
it also takes jobs from people.
Uh-huh.
So that is one of the bad side of technology.
Fair enough. We can explore that a little more because many times we see technology and we talk about that, and that's the thing that jumps in our heads. But I'm wondering if right now we're seeing ourselves, because they said the same thing during the Industrial Revolution. Oh, all of these things are going to come in and they're going to take jobs away. But do we have less jobs now than we did then? So it may provide us with an opportunity to change the skills that we used to have before, right? Just like once upon a time we needed some food, we had to go down to the ground, pick some food, dig whatever we need to do, but now we just go down to Foster's and just check out, right? So it provides us with an opportunity to do things differently. But with the idea of it having both sides, the same power of fire to burn down your house and destroy lives is the same thing that allowed you to create that awesome meal that you had today for lunch. Right?
Warm.
Well, maybe some of you had the electric fire, but you get what I'm saying. Right? So what we're looking at is how we're able to harness the power of technology while understanding the challenges it may present us with. Just like you said, it's interesting that you noted that because a lot of investment has gone into that. AI is the thing that does that. What is that thing? Every time you watch a video on YouTube, every time you search for an article online and you jump on Google or you do something else, there's AI running in the background that says, oh, you liked cats. You especially liked green cats. All right, so the next time you come on, I'm going to find you some more green cats that I know you like. And then I may say, you know what? There's a high possibility that you may be interested in blue cats as well. So I may share some blue cats with you. Now, that sounds nefarious to begin with because it's trying to keep you locked in, right? But here's the thing. Imagine if you went over to your friend's house. You went over to your friend's house and you're there, you're having a conversation with your friend, and your friend's little brother comes out and says, hey, you want some water? And you say, yes. And he goes and gets you some water. And you say, would you like some cookies? And yes, and you get some cookies. The next time you come over to the house, he has some water and cookies ready for you as soon as you walk in. That feels like a place that you're going to want to keep going to, right? Right. Yeah, it feels nice and hospitable. Right? What if we were doing that to each other? If we were doing that to each other, we draw more people to us, right? But that's all the technology is doing. The technology is learning about you so it can better give you the things that you're drawn to. Let me say that again. AI is learning about you every single day so it can give you more of the things that you're drawn to. Now, this is very important to understand. Why? Because you're the one who gets to decide what you're drawn to. The power is always in your hands. If you want to use YouTube as a place that keeps you numbed, sitting just watching cat videos, then AI is going to keep serving cat videos to you. If, however, you want to upskill yourself, learn new things, and you keep searching for that, AI is going to say, oh, that's what you're interested in, so I'm going to serve you more of that.
Right. A question I want to ask you.
Yes.
During the presentation, the area of public surveillance and the extent to which the same technology, I know about it because I've done with a law, and
yes.
we're looking at how can the law prevent, for example, government from accessing information that they don't need to have, but they have it.
Yes.
And many persons don't realize the extent to which the government has tons of information about you, and the extent to which sometimes you don't even know about it.
Yes.
What's your view on that? Because technology, for good and bad, but of course government uses it,
yes.
the surveillance aspect of it, to do public, whatever it is, public policy, and to be able to, you know, the police uses it, whatever it is, for matters to do with but in doing that,
yes.
there are also some other nefarious
yes.
aspects of it, you know, and that's where now, for example, we're looking at how can the law temper that? How can we exercise your individuality and your right to not know that about me? You have no right to know that. That's not your business. So how do you maybe look at that even precisely? How does that the area of public surveillance affect people's ability to be anonymous in areas that shouldn't really be of interest to government?
Fair enough, fair enough. That's a great question, and I mean, many persons are considering this and saying, hey, how can I keep my privacy? I don't need these people in my business. And this is where I come down on it. I'll tell you a quick story. One of the things that allows me to eat is exactly that. I don't work for anyone, I work for myself. And what I do is I create social media accounts and I help persons to further their message. How do I do that? Right? So a couple months ago, I wanted to start a new podcast, and so I designed a channel, I put the information out there, and through much effort, I managed to get to over 2,000 subscribers within 3 months, get monetized, and, you know, get the information out there, have about over 60,000 views. And I said, okay. I did that with much effort. So I'm actually running a new experiment. And the new experiment, I started another faceless channel just last week. And I put about 5 videos on there, and within less than 5 days, it's gotten over 5,000 views and 16 subscribers. And this one I'm doing without promoting it myself at all. What I'm doing is I'm interacting with the AI and figuring out the things that allows me to connect with the AI so the AI connects with you. Why am I telling you this story? I'm telling you this because when we think about privacy, many times we think the government is trying to get into our information, but that's actually not the case. The case is we've given up our privacy. The information out there is no longer about the government trying to get a camera and spy into your household. Nuh-uh. Everything out there about you, we have put out there. So every time you register for email, every time you register for a social media account, every time you do a Google search online, there's AI running in the background that's harvesting that information. I, as a marketer, if I want to sell red cats, the AI will tell me the people who most likely would buy red cats are this, and they have these things in common because it's looking at you. It's looking at the information that you have given it, and it's looking at your patterns over time. And so now both the government and big companies, when you see ads pop up on your screen when you're surfing, those ads are not popping up on everyone else's screen. It's popping up on your screen because of your activities, because of your behaviors, because of what the AI knows about you. And you'll find, as you said, you're more likely to click on them because it knows who you are. So when it comes to privacy, if you do want to have privacy in 2023, it's very difficult to begin with. Because even if you stay off, you have friends. You hear you're at church, I may take a picture and post from my social media, and you're there. There's facial recognition software that is running in the banks. As a matter of fact, the same facial recognition software that is running in many of our banks, that is running on social media, is actually in the targeting system in the Ukraine war. Yes. So that's how the very small Ukraine is able to keep at bay the big Russia, because they're using high technology that allows them to use drones and all kinds of interesting things. It's about technology. The point here is that we wanted the connection to our friends and family all the way away from us. The connectivity is here, and it's here to stay. AI is here, and it's here to stay. What we have to recognize or see is how can we use this for our purposes. Think about it. When YouTube came out, when the internet came out, when many of these things came out, as a church, many times say, oh no, this is evil, let's stay away from it. But guess what? But now we're all on, right? We're streaming on YouTube right now? I imagine so. I imagine also during COVID, many of us teachers who were, I love my classroom. Everyone was on Zoom. Everyone had to get comfortable with online learning one time. I see your hand. While your hand is there, if someone could look up for me Ecclesiastes. Go ahead.
Right.
Sorry, Ecclesiastes 7, verse 29.
Right. I kind of disagree about the government interest in gathering data on people. I think the evidence is clear. For example, when you had 9/11, when you had COVID, the dichotomy between what is supposed to be yours and what government shouldn't have, that has changed totally. And so it's a whole field out there that is, I think, hard to say no to that. But what I want to ask, though, many persons don't realize the extent to which people know things about you, and therefore it's urgent that they be careful
Yes,
about what they put out there.
that's right.
You know, how do you access the net? What do you put up there? Because interfaces are so global and interconnecting, and one has to, especially young people, I think, have to be very, very
Absolutely.
careful. Take, for example, you mentioned about, say, Zoom.
Yes.
At the university, for example, when I was in charge, I was the one who got, just after COVID came, we were one of the first institutions to be totally online, and I led that. But young people, though, have to understand that even their employers sometimes look at their different spaces to find out what would you put out there.
Yes.
I mean, does that reflect on your level of maturity? And things like that to get to gauge a kind of idea as to who you are.
Absolutely.
So that is something we need to look into also.
Absolutely, absolutely. And without going too much into the government surveillance, whenever there's technology on the ground, we want to be able to appreciate that many times the government has had this before and we're able to explore it. So facial recognition technology is now available to everyone. The government has had that for decades, right? The internet was,
Yeah.
the government had the internet before.
Long before it was
There you go.
available for the commercial space.
Yes.
But, sorry, Elder raised a very important
Yes.
point about the government snooping.
Yes.
So as you said earlier, the government is not out there just snooping at everybody because it would be virtually impossible to snoop at everybody.
Uh-huh.
But the algorithm is so designed where it looks for
Yes.
certain things, right? So once you, for example, if I go on YouTube and say, I want to make a bomb,
Yes.
from I put in the word bomb, there is somebody all over in Washington or
You're on a
wherever,
shorter list.
or in Florida. They pick that up and they start watching me. You understand me? So, for example, like in Jamaica, you have a lot of scamming going on now.
Yes.
And a lot of these scammers don't understand how they get caught sometimes. And because they are making a lot of money, they don't even know that they are being watched. But the United States don't strike like that. They make sure to have a case
Yes.
before. So when they send for you, they have a case.
Yes.
You understand me?
They're not in the habit of wasting time and wasting money.
Right. And Ella made a very important point about our young people and adults. The banks, well, not the banks, most employers now
Yes.
asking you for a social media account. And sometimes you might not even understand, but the business system now, they have people who they employ to manage and run their social media
Yes.
account, and they also peruse the employer's social media account, especially if you are working in a very high security system. They manage you and they monitor you, and it is just the way of the world now.
Yes.
You know, so we have to be careful.
Absolutely. And that continues on the point of connectivity. Now, when you apply for a job and you get that job, you are now connected to that organization. And so that organization is going to have a vested interest into saying, is this person likely to bring me embarrassment? So they're going to snoop to your social media and go, is the lifestyle, your personal lifestyle, in keeping with what we represent? And so sometimes you may end up, say you have your job already, you may end up losing your job, not because of something that you did on the job, but because of something you might have done outside that brought some shame to the bank, and the bank has to cut ties with you. There's one hand down here and then one hand at the top.
Yes, that's a very good point, because in my profession, nursing, I tell my students that all the time, that yes, your personal life is separate, but when you get out there on social media, it can affect you. Just to share an example, for this week, I was filling out a application form, and it asks for email, and it asks for another, and it had space for as many emails. It asks for a number that all the emails that I've used in the last 5 years, the phone numbers I've used in the last 5 years. It asks for the social media, and they wanted your name that you use for this. And I'm like, seriously? This is just too much. And I'm like thinking, should I really finish this application? But it's what people want, and before
Yes.
you go for that interview, people research you.
Absolutely.
This,
Wait, there's one down here and then we come back. Go ahead.
just wanted to add to the point where that Dr. Livingston was trying to make as it relates to data and the information that the government wants from us. 5, 10, maybe, yeah, up to about 10 years ago, storing data was a very costly venture. And the size of the storage was, storage media was probably about this, a hard drive, a regular size hard drive, 3.5 inches and very thick.
Yes.
And very weighty and also very costly. Now, let's say that was about up to 500 gigabytes, argument's sake. Now, we are looking at a very thin piece of device that is holding 4 to 5, sometimes 10 terabytes that you can just drop in your pocket like a thumb drive. Why am I saying this? There are countries right now, one mainly in particular, that once you buy a camera from them, from that particular company, that company has embedded in it software that allows it, once you're connected to the internet, to stream your data, your whatever video it is seeing, it is capturing, back to some storage device in the country. And so it comes to the point that Dr. Livingston is making, what are individuals doing with the video surveillance, for example, that they gather from you? And this is just one entity that is known, very well known of. United States have cut them off from using their equipment. That is noted, that was in the news. So yes, we, to some extent,